the baker and the cook. Uh, and his the dream when he had the dreams that he was sharing with his family about how he'll reign over them. Joseph was also given a coat of many colors, which was a symbol of prosperity. His brothers bluntly hated him. They just despised him, I guess, because of the relationship he had with his father. When they were out in the fields working, Joseph was back at the house with the father, so he had favoritism with him. So there was a time in the story where, in the history, where the father sent him out to check on his brothers in Shechem, and they weren't there, and someone else was there, and they told him where they had went, and he found them out in Dothan. And I was trying to find what significance Dothan had in this story, and basically it was a trade zone. So we know that the brothers despised when they saw him coming. They just, again, just did not like him. So they plotted to kill him. But one brother spoke up and said, hey, listen, let's not have his blood on our hands. They pretty much saved his life. And again, to bring back up Dothan, the trade zone, he was in the right pit, sadly, at the right time, that someone suggested that they sell him. So they sold him, and he was actually sold twice. And this is where, the time comes in where Potiphar's wife falsely accuses him, lands him in prison. And while he's in prison, he's in his work. I say he's in his work because that's what he did. He had dreams and he interpreted. And this is where his gift made room for him eventually. And so while in prison, he interpreted two key dreams for the chief cupbearer and the baker. Now we know one dream was a great success, and the other one that the baker lost his life, both within 3 days. But in the meantime, Joseph was like, hey, I'm gonna tell you these dreams, but remember me. And so time passed. Pharaoh has these dreams, and his people, his magicians or sorcerers, or just talking, they couldn't interpret his dreams. But see, that's the difference between Yah gives you a dream and when somebody that a lesser spirit is trying to tap in, because just anybody can interpret his dreams. He's not going to give an understanding to just anybody. So, but this is when the chief cupbearer remembers Joseph, and that Joseph interprets dreams. Now, mind you, I believe this was like a 2-year period when he was reestablished as the cook, and Joseph was still in prison, but he remembered him. And so he was able to come out and remember the dreams for the Pharaoh. And I believe when all said and done, Joseph is now about the age of 30, right? And as we know the end of this story, hopefully, because this is a pretty popular story, we know at the end of the story, the famine comes, the 7 years of good years, 7 years of bad years, and his family had to come and purchase grain and food and things, and that whole Joseph knew who they were, but they didn't know who he was. And at the end of the story, they rekindle the fathers, gets to meet him, and all this other stuff again. And so there was a beautiful story, and it shows how Yah used that dream to showed the end before he did the beginning. This is why we always say he always shows the end before the beginning, because he showed that his family was going to be humbled and will be bowing to him. But then you had to go back through the whole story to understand what happened. How, again, like I said, how he was hated and despised, and how he was traded and sold, and having to be in the right pit at the right. So all these things had to, happen for this dream to come to pass. So he was about 30 years old when everything was said and done. And so Joseph knew that the dreams were great. However, he didn't know the cost of telling those dreams. So be careful in what you discuss out your mouth to different people, because everybody don't have your best interest. They may love you, you may have fun, you have good times, but sometimes they're just envying people's heart, and we don't know it until a time or a season come. And so Joseph knew that his brothers did not like him. And so he was known as pretty much a show off or uh, doing extra, if you will. And then for him to put that dream out before him pretty much almost cost him his life. He was sold twice. He was falsely accused. He was thrown in a pit. He was held in prison. He was forgotten. So all those things was a cost of telling his dreams to the wrong persons. So again, the timeline from the age of 17 to approximately the age of 30, just in my reading and research, these are the numbers that were found. Because Joseph's gift, they were able to prepare for the famine. So this is why we should not ignore our dreams and visions, especially if we believe them to be of Yah, because those dreams and visions set a tone for where he was going to be, but he didn't know what it was going to co-inspire. He just knew it was going to be a good thing. So we should not ever ignore our dreams and visions. And like I said, pray and ask Yah for understanding. And again, use the pastor to help you, figure out and go through what's happening in your dreams. And then you can search the scriptures to use certain words and things to help you understand your dreams. But do not ignore your dreams or your messages. Just to name a few, we know Abraham was given dreams, Jacob, Samuel, even a false prophet, Balaam. You'll find that in Numbers chapter 24. And it talks about false prophets. Yah will put people to death that lie in his name. Let's read Deuteronomy 13, 1-5. I hope you guys can still hear me and I'm not yelling, but I'm trying to talk loud just in case. Deuteronomy 13, 1-5 reads, "If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes to pass, wherefore he spake unto thee, saying, Let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you, to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice. And ye shall serve him, and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commandeth thee to walk in. So shalt put so shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So be very, very careful, because there are false prophets that can tap into your aura or your zone or your being or your body or what have you, and quote the little things that they know about you. And then they're going to try to lead you off to some little lesser gods instead of Elohim. Be mindful, be careful. Another warning is found in Jeremiah chapter 23, 16, 17, 27. And we're going to skip down to 32. Let's read that as well. It says, verse 16, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Hearken not unto the words of the prophet that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of the Lord. And they say still unto them that despise me, the Lord has said, Ye shall have peace. And they say unto you, every one that walketh after the imaginations of his own heart, do evil shall come upon you. Verse 27 says, which think to cause my people to forget my name, by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.